What's going on, everybody? Halo Drama here yet again with another Magic the Gathering Commander deck of mine. This deck is based around what I feel is like one of the most hated cards, because every time I pull this card out, somebody either in my play group or somebody who I'm telling about the decks I own, they always sigh and roll their eyes every time I tell them I have a Commander deck with Child of Alara. Child of Alara, for those who don't know, calls Wooburg. That's one of each color, basically white, blue, black, red, and green. And it is a 6/6 legendary creature avatar with trample that states when Child of Alara dies, destroy all non-land permanents that can't be regenerated. This card is known as Space Baby, I guess. That's what I've heard people refer to it as. I guess I can kind of see that from the picture. It is kind of wild, but yeah, the deck is generally based around constantly blowing stuff up. So pretty much nobody keeps anything on the battlefield. And yes, I know when Child of Alara dies, I know the commander text goes up. But as you will see as I get into this deck is probably 70 to 80% lands. Few creatures, bunch of instants. There are no sorceries at the moment. There are some sorceries that I want to get for this deck, but I don't have them at the moment, and I'll even explain those before I conclude the video. But for now, let's go into the few creatures that I actually do have in this deck, which, like I said, are not very many. There's actually only 5. Excuse me. And remember, just like any of the other videos, if any of you guys have watched them, I make these decks around, with stuff that I already generally have. So, yeah, we'll just go from there. I'm explaining too much. Let's just get into it. There you go. First creature that I have in this deck, which for a while was the only other creature I had in this deck, but I found 4 others that fit very greatly. And it is Spirit Endol. Costs 2 and a white. Is a 2/1 spirit. Excuse me. Has shadow, which means this creature can block or be blocked only by other creatures with shadow, which is an ability that I don't really see anybody use and whatnot. But I like it for its forecast cost, because it has forecast. You can pay 1 and a white and reveal Spirit Endol from your hand. Target creature gains shadow until end of turn. The way forecast works, and it's stated there, you can play this ability only during your upkeep and only once each turn. Now, the thing that I like about this creature is even if it's ever in my hand, it never hits the battlefield. I only want it in there for its forecast cost so that I can make my Child of Alara unblockable. That's literally the only reason that this card is in this deck. And I like it for that very reason. And the next one I have a creature enchantment. You can kind of look at it any way you want. But, oops, I spelled that wrong. Yes, I apparently did. Yeah. And it is Xenagos, God of Revels. Costs 3 in Gruul. That's 3 red and green. Is a 6/5 legendary enchantment creature god. It's indestructible, so we can get past Child of Alara's ability. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, Xenagos isn't a creature. And when they say devotion, for those who don't know, it's the mana symbols in the permanents that you have on the battlefield. You have to count them to add up what the devotion would be. But in this deck, it's not really a point for it to become a creature. The reason I have this in this deck is because of its second ability. At the beginning of combat on your turn, on my turn, whatever, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. That is what that is on the board for. Make Child of Alara a quick 10-10, or not 10-10, a 12-12 I should say, and swing with this on the board. I can 2-shot you. So yeah, that's what that's in there for. Don't get me wrong, there are a couple other things in this deck that can make Child of Alara a little stronger, but we'll cross those bridges when we come to them. The next one that I have is... Come on, load it. There you go. Is Moja's God of Slaughter. That's not the version that I have, but that is pretty slick. Costs 2 in Rakdos, that's black and red. It's a 7/5 legendary enchantment creature god, also indestructible. So yes, it can also get past Child of Alara's ability. As long as your devotion of black and red is less than 7, Moja's in the creature. Again, I don't care about making them a creature, that's not the point. The point is the second ability. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, Moja deals 2 damage to that player unless they sacrifice a creature. That's a nice ability in and of itself, and with Child of Alara's ability, there's going to be a lot of times where nobody has any creatures on the board because I've more than likely destroyed them all. But guess what stays on the board? Moja's does, and he will keep dealing 2 damage to you because you can't sacrifice a creature. You can only take so many 2s, and I can guarantee you I can get Child of Alara back on the board. But like I said, that's another thing that we will cover when we get to it. But yep, that's why I have Moja's in here. So he can just keep constantly damaging you. I spell that right, yes I did. And I have Kuranos, God of Storms. Costs 3 in a Zet, that's blue and red. It's a 6/5 legendary enchantment creature god, indestructible as well. Devotion to blue and red less than 7, it's not a creature, again, not worried about that. The second ability is all I care about. Reveal the first card you draw on each of your turns. Whenever you reveal a land card this way, draw a card. Whenever you reveal a non-land card this way, Kuranos Lightning Bolt something. Deals 3 damage to any target. I like that second ability because, like I said, this deck is 60, 70, if not a little higher, % lands. So more than likely I'm going to reveal a land. Yeah, my hand always has lands in it. It's one of those kind of decks where, like, I can get my opening hand and not look at it, and I can almost guarantee I'm going to keep it. But if I so happen to reveal a non-land card, which there are some, I get to Lightning Bolt something. And seeing as in there's a good chance that nobody's going to have anything on the board except for me, I'm probably going to Lightning Bolt an opponent. So, yep, that's what that's for. And the last creature that is in this deck, remember again, I only make this stuff with stuff that I have. Because if I could, I'd put a lot more gods in here. But the last one I have in here is Krufix, God of Horizons. Costs 3 in Simic, that's green and blue. It's a 4/7 legendary enchantment creature god. It's also indestructible. Devotion of green and blue less than 7, doesn't matter. You have no maximum hand size, that doesn't really matter either. But if you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes colorless instead. So as long as Krufix is on the board, this mana doesn't leave your mana pool. So even if I have some lands tapped on my opponent's turn that's going to go before me, I can add all that to my mana pool and it will just stay in my mana pool colorless. And that's what that's in there for, because believe me, I blow Child of Alara up multiple times on my own in this game. I've even had games where people blow up Child of Alara because it benefits them to clear the board of somebody else. You know, one of our other opponents might have some crucial shit on the board, so they'll kill Child of Alara, which is completely fine with me. But yeah, this is so I can just keep all that colorless mana in my mana pool. That way, if Child of Alara gets too expensive, I have all this colorless mana to go ahead and use to help bring him back. So yeah, those are the creatures that are in this deck. Like I said, I do believe I said this, there are no sorceries in this deck. Again, there are some sorceries I want for this deck, but I don't have them. I don't own them at the moment. When I do, they're going to go in this deck and I'll figure out some stuff to take out. But there is a small stack of instants here, so we'll go through those. And the first instant I'm going to cover, that's on top of my stack hill, Mask of the Mimic. Costs 1 blue, instant obviously. The entirety of this stack right here is going to be instant, so I guess I don't have to say that part. But in any event, sacrifice a creature, search your library. Search your library for a card with the same name as target non-token creature. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Now, I'm well aware that I'm not going to find a copy of Child of Alara. It's in here to sacrifice Child of Alara. Every instant that I'm about to name off, you'll see is an instant sacrifice so that I can pull the trigger in case somebody tries to do something crazy while I have Child of Alara on the board. I can just sack it and just put that shit to fucking rest. Now again, I know I'm not going to find a copy of Child of Alara. It's Commander. It's a singleton format. That's legit not the point. The point is, it's a 1-drop sack outlet. And I get a free shuffle out of it. Not to mention, that's how that would work. I guess the only other thing that I can think of is, I guess if I had this on the board, maybe somebody had one of their gods that's the same god as mine online. I could search my library and go put it on the battlefield. As long as it's online, as long as it's devotion and stuff and it's a creature. I could go in my library and search for one of those and put it on the battlefield. But other than that, it's just a quick, very cheap 1-drop blue, sack my child, destroy everything, and more than likely it's just so I can get a free shuffle out of it. And no, more than likely it's because it's so I can blow up everything. But I also get a free shuffle out of it. So, there you go. And the next one we have here is Scapegoat. Costs 1 white, sacrifice a creature. Return any number of target creatures you control to its owner's hand. That's not going to happen. Because like I said, the gods more than likely won't ever be online, so they're not coming back to my hand anyway. Not to mention this, even if they were online, it says any number, so I can make that number 0 if I wanted to. So this is, again, it's just another 1-drop, instant, sack a creature, blow everything up. Let's see, the next one is boom, and people really hate this one. Worthy Cause costs 1 white, has buyback 2, so that means, as an additional cost, when you cast the spell, you can pay the 2 for the buyback, and when the spell resolves, you return it back to your hand rather than put it in your graveyard. That's pretty sick in a deck like this. But it has sacrifice a creature, gain life equal to sacrifice creature's toughness. So for 3 mana, basically, I sack my child, I gain 6, more than likely it's going to be 6 life. Like I said, there are other ways to pump him up, but we'll cross those bridges. But more than likely I'm going to gain 6 life, pay the 2, and I'm going to put Worthy Cause back in my hand, and I can just keep using this over and over and over again, because I guarantee you I will have enough lands to do so. Like I said, when we get into the lands part, you will definitely see why I'm not particularly worried about paying that buyback cost over and over and over again. And the next one we have here is Deadly Dispute. Cost 1 and a black, is an, I don't know why I keep almost saying that it's an instant, they're all instants. 1 in the black, as an additional cost. To cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. That's pretty cut and dry. Get 2 extra cards in my hand. That'll more than likely be lands, but it's also good that, say, if Deadly Dispute was the only sacrifice instant that I had in my hand, this might help me find another one. You gotta always have your hand on that trigger ready to pull it, just like I said, in case somebody tries to do something crazy while Child of Alara is on the board. And I get to get a treasure token, which I may as well use for when I cast Child of Alara again, because if I didn't and Child of Alara, say, died and got sacrificed again, I'd end up destroying the treasure token. So may as well use that immediately just to cast Child of Alara again. Okay, and the next one is there it is. Village Rites. Oops. Didn't mean to highlight the page there. Costs 1 black as an additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. And it's in here just for the same, pretty much the same reason as Deadly Dispute. A cheap sack outlet, and I get to draw into hopefully another sacrifice spell. If not, I'm just getting more lands, which is also completely fine with me. And let's see, next. I have Devour Flesh, costs 1 and a black. Target player, me, sacrifices a creature, then gains life equal to that creature's toughness. Don't get me wrong. If I have to use this on somebody else, I will, because it does say target player. And say somebody got a little cattywampus and decided to flat cast or cheat in a Blightsteel, you know, in some kind of way, and that happens to be the only creature they have on the board, yeah, I'm going to need you to go ahead and get rid of that. But more than most often than not, I use it on myself. So, yeah. Let's see. Next. Oh yeah. I have Corpse Cobble, costs Dimir, a blue and a black. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice any number of creatures, which will end up only being 1. Create an XX blue and black zombie creature token with menace, where X is the total power of the sacrificed creature. So more than likely I'll get a 6/6 blue and black zombie. Like I said, there are ways in here to pump him up. But like I said, we'll get to that. Oh, no, not to mention, I almost missed that. It has a flashback cost of 3 and Dimir, which again, there are a shitload of lands in this deck, so that I'm not particularly worried about. That flashback could be fucking 10, and I guarantee I'd be able to afford it. Alright, next I think this is probably the most expensive sacrifice spell I have in this deck. At a 4-drop, so everything else costs lower than that. But it's Artillerize, costs 3 and a red. As an additional cost to cast Artillerize, sacrifice an artifact or creature. Artillerize deals 5 damage to target creature or player. Again, another thing that I'm going to use on, you know, Child of Alara. Sack Child of Alara, you're going to lose all your creatures, so there's no point in me dealing 5 damage to any creature, so I'll just deal 5 damage to one of my opponents. Whichever one needs to be smacked the most, or whoever's closest to death. Alright, and let's see, the next one that we have here is Booyah. Fiery Conclusion, costs 1 and a red. As an additional cost to cast Fiery Conclusion, sacrifice a creature. Fiery Conclusion deals 5 damage to target creature. Granted, that second part is not going to matter if I sacrifice Child of Alara, because you're going to end up losing all your creatures anyway. It's just a sack outlet. Yeah, like I said, yeah, the second part doesn't matter at all. It's just a cheap sack outlet, which is what I wanted. Let's see, what's this? There you go, I need to catch up. I have Merciless Resolve. What up, Soren? I see you. Costs 2 and a black. As an additional cost to cast Merciless Resolve, sacrifice a creature or land. Draw 2 cards. Yeah, pretty cut and dry. Sack Child, possibly again. Draw cards to hopefully draw into another sack spell. Or, yeah, it really doesn't matter. Yeah. If I have absolutely nothing else going on, which is more than likely not going to happen, because this deck pretty much keeps a handful of cards. I can sacrifice a land if I have to. If Child of Alara is out there doing his thing and not being bothered, and I feel like I need to try to find another sack outlet just to have that trigger cocked, you know, the hammer cocked. I'm sorry, the hammer cocked. The trigger gets pulled. Anyway, I can use this, sack a land, draw some cards, and hopefully find one. Let's see, next. Sacrifice a creature. Target creature gets +4/+2 until end of turn. Again, the +4/+2 doesn't matter at all. It's a cheap sack outlet. That's what I wanted it for. That's all I wanted. I went through my stuff and was just trying to find as many the cheapest and as many instant sack outlets that I can possibly find. And these, what you are seeing here, are the ones that I found. So. Next we have Hot Fire. Crikey. It costs 1 and a red as an additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice a creature or planeswalker. There are no planeswalkers in this deck, so that's not even an issue. And then Heartfire deals 4 damage to any target. Another one of those things. I use this on Child of Alara. Sack it, you're not going to have any creatures anyway, so I'll just throw 4 damage at your face. Completely fine with me. Next I have a card that is named after one of the fucking craziest, most broken mechanics in the fucking game, Dredge. This costs 1 black, sacrifice a creature or land, draw a card. Cheap sack outlet, and I get to draw a card on top of it. Pretty cut and dry. And next, and there are definitely still more. I have Collateral Damage. Costs 1 red. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Collateral Damage deals 3 damage to any target. Again, cut and dry. Sack Child, 3 damage to your face. Next. Yep. Sure, any of you have been playing this for a while, knowing that I was trying to put as many instant sack outlets in here that I could. I'm sure you probably knew this one was in here in this Diabolic Edict. Costs 1 and a black. Target player, me, sacrifices a creature. Again, it's one of those cards that can still be versatile if I need to use it on somebody else, because they have that 1 or 2 creatures out there that could be a possible burden. I can make you get rid of one of them. If you only have 1 creature that's a problem, I can make you get rid of it. Or, like I said, and it depends, because I can always get rid of Child of Alara to get rid of your creatures, but I'm aware that destruction cannot get by indestructible, but I can make you sacrifice an indestructible creature. So, yeah, there's not really much you can say about that. Let's see, next I have, how would I type in the other side and see what happens. Yep, there it is, thank you. I have Far and Away. It's a fuse card, which means you may cast one or both halves of this card from your hand, I'll read both, but I only want it for one. The far side costs 1 in the blue, return target creature to its owner's hand. I guess I can see that being useful, because I want Child of Alara to die. So say if somebody, like put an Oblivion Ring down, or try to play a Path to Exile, or a Swords to Plowshare, I can respond to it by playing the far side and returning it to my hand so it doesn't end up in exile. But the away part is mainly what it's in there for. It costs 2 and a black. Target player, more than likely me, sacrifices a creature. Just like the other target player spells, can be used against my opponent or can be used against myself, basically, which is more than likely what's going to happen. Let's see. I have Reckoner's Bargain. 1 in the black. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature. You gain life equal to sacrifice. You gain life equal to the sacrifice permanent's mana value. Draw 2 cards. There you go. Another cheap sack outlet. I end up gaining 5 life, and I'd end up drawing 2 cards. So, yeah. There you go. A lot of these sack spells are pretty cut and dry. Oops. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. To lean on the board. What just happened? And next, I have Tend the Pest. Cost Gogari, however you pronounce it. That's black and green. That's an additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice a creature. Create X 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens with. When this creature dies, you gain 1 life, where X is the sacrifice creature's power. Yeah. Yep, another sack outlet. End up getting a bunch of tokens to replace the Child of Alara, which is more than likely when it gets back to my turn, depending on how far we are into the game. You might have 1 or 2 more creatures on the board. You may not have any on the board. And then you get, swung at with a bunch of 1/1s. Or if Child comes back and they end up dying, I'll just gain a life for each of them. So that works for me. Let's see. 3 left, actually. And don't get me wrong, I know more than this exists. I have them on a wish list. I will get them eventually. But for now, like I said, this was just made out of stuff that I already had. I like it. I think it's interesting. Good old-fashioned Fling. I'm sure a lot of people know this one. Costs 1 and a red as an additional cost. To cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Fling deals damage equal to sacrifice creature's power to any target. I've used this to win the game before. Yeah, somebody low on life. Obviously, somebody low on life. I fling my commander at you. Not only do the other opponents lose all their shit, I've killed somebody with this. Kill 1 person, make everybody else sacrifice the rest of their stuff. The game keeps going in my favor. And who's gonna have a problem with that? Alright, second to last. Oh, I'm tripping. That's right there anyway. Altar's Reap. 1 and a black. As an additional cost to cast Altar's Reap, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. Pretty cut and dry. That doesn't really need explaining again, because obviously there are other cards in there that do the exact same thing, and I've already covered them. Last one is actually a newer card, because this just came out in New Capenna. I'm looking right at it. A Little Chat costs 1 and a blue. Has casualty 1, which means as you cast this spell, you may sacrifice a creature with power 1 or greater. When you do copy this spell, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put 1 of them in your hand and the other at the bottom. This is just in here. This part, I do and don't. Anyway, if I was to do this solo without sacrificing a creature, that's not what it's for. It's for the casualty 1. So that I can have another cheap sack outlet. I can look at pretty much the top 4 cards on my library and put 2 of them in my hand. Just another way to siphon through a little bit. Gotta keep those sack spells in your hand and whatnot. Now next, because that is all of those. Now next, this is where it's gonna take a minute. Because now I'm going to cover the vast array of non-basic lands that are in this deck, and trust me, there are a lot of them. So, the first one that we're going to cover here is good old-fashioned Command Tower. I had to know, it's a 5-color deck, you had to know one of these was going to be here. Tap it. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Pretty cut and dry. It's a commander game. It's more than 1 color. It should have a command tower in it. Let's see. Next. Now, because there are so many non-basic lands, I tried to put them together in some way. Some kind of like similar tap abilities or, you know, anything like that. But, you know, you can figure it out. You guys are smart. At least I hope. Rupture Spire. Enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you pay 1. That's not going to be a problem. And then it can tap for 1 of any color. Excuse me. What was the difference between these? Oh, just the number right there? That's it? Okay, if you say so. And there you go. Yeah, pretty cut and dry what that does. Because it legit does the exact same thing as this card. Trans Guild Promenade. I'm not going to explain what this does because it literally does the exact same thing as Rupture Spire in every way, shape, and form. So, yeah. If you know what Rupture Spire does or what this does, you know what the other one does. Let's see, and then let's see. I have Guild Mage's Form. Taps for colorless, or you can pay 1 and tap it. Add 1 mana of any color. If that spell was spent on a multicolored creature, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter. Now, this is one of the few ways, like I said, I have to make Child of Alara stronger. Because obviously, Child of Alara is all 5 colors. So, yeah, pretty cut and dry. If I use this to use the mana from this to bring a Child of Alara, it's going to come in 1 point stronger, which is completely fine with me. If I can 3-shot you with the child because of this, I will do it. That's for damn sure. Let's see. And then we have Opal Palace. Taps for 1 colorless, or you can pay 1 and tap it. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. If you spend this mana to cast your commander, it enters the battlefield with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on it, equal to the number of times it's been cast from the command zone this game. So that is definitely something you want to keep track of, because that is very important, especially when you're running a deck like this, where you're only really relying on the 1 creature to kill everything, or to kill all your opponents. So it just depends on how many times it's been cast. And I've had Child of Alara very, very expensive. Very expensive. But I guarantee I was still able to pay for it. But again, we'll get to all that. But yeah, it's been killed and cast back in 2, 3, 4 times. It's going to enter with that many more counters on it if I use this activated ability of this land to bring her, you know, the pronoun game these days, you can't be too fucking careful. But anyway, it's a goddamn baby. That's the only, never mind, I'm not even going to get into that. But yeah, there you go, Opal Palace. Let's see, and the next, exotic, Orchard, what I've heard people pronounce it both ways. Orchard for me. Add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. So, yeah, any lands that my opponents control that can tap for mana, this can tap for that mana. If all 3 of my depending on, you know, what colors, you know, my opponents are using. Say if they all had a command tower on the board, I can use, now because of this 1 land, I can use any color land that they can use. So yeah, there you go. Not sure how that would work if you were playing against a straight colorless deck. I don't think it probably wouldn't work. But I'll do more research about that some other time, not right now. Excuse me. And then you have Evolving Wilds. As a matter of fact, I'll just do both right now. I have Evolving Wilds, because these cards literally do the exact same thing. So, you know, okay, I'll just, Evolving Wilds, you can tap it and sacrifice it. Search your library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield, taps, and shuffle. most, if not everybody, knows what Evolving Wild does, and if you know what that does, then you know what this does. I'm sure you guys more than likely knew this was coming right afterwards, and this Terramorphic Expanse literally does the exact same thing as Evolving Wilds. Like, there's no difference between the cards besides the name and maybe the text down here, but they literally do the exact same thing. So that's what those are in there for. In case for some reason or somehow I'm missing a color or mana, and not to mention if I can get these out near the beginning of the game, they're very useful. Now, I'd say mid to late game, if there is a mid to late game, these are fucking useless. But early game, yeah, pretty good, because you never know what's gonna happen. And then I have High Market. I love this card. I always have loved this card. High Market taps for a colorless, or you can tap it, sacrifice a creature, gain 1 life. It's one of those cards when I do get High Market on the board, people will either do stuff to goat me into sacrificing Child of Alara, or they'll leave me alone because they're terrified I'm going to sack Child of Alara. Either way works just fine with me, because I do what I want, and I'll take that 1 life. I don't care if it is just 1 life. And since I have that, I have this, and it is Grim Backwoods. What's that? It costs. Never mind. Taps for a colorless, or you can pay 2 in Golgari, 2 black and green. Sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Just another easy sack outlet, and it's on a land, so that makes it even better for me. Next, and I think I've explained this in some of my other videos, I'm pretty positive I have one of these in every single Commander deck I have, and that is Temple of the False God. Taps for 2 colorless. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands, which in this deck, let me tell you, is not going to be an issue. And this pretty much this is in here to help pay for Commander tax, if it's necessary. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. And then we have Rogue's Passage. Taps for colorless, or you can pay 4 and tap it. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Like I said, I don't know what was wrong with saying target creature is unblockable until end of turn. Are there people out there that didn't understand that? Unblockable until end of turn. That means it's unblockable. It means you can't block it. But they felt the need in these last some odd number of maybe years or sets or whatever to change it to target creature can't be blocked. Maybe they had to dumb it down for some people. I have no idea. I feel like unblockable was pretty cut and dry, but yeah, would make my commander unblockable. Yeah. And I also have Slayer Stronghold. Taps for colors, or I can pay Boros, that's red and white, and tap it. Target creature gains +2/+0 and gains vigilance and haste until end of turn. So yeah, I'll take an 8/6. Yeah, I'll take an 8/6 vigilance, trample, haste commander coming at you. And Lord forbid I have a Xenagos on the board, because I would activate this during my first main phase, and then when I'd go into combat, it would get +8/+8 rather than the 6/6. That's pretty disgusting. And it's stuff like that that goes with stuff like this. My bad. Yep. Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion. Taps for a color, so you can pay 2 and Boros and tap it. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Even without a power boost, that's disgusting. With the commander, yeah, especially with the commander who already has a pretty high power and can kill you in just a few turns. Yeah, this will obviously just make it that much faster. I'm gonna take a drink real quick. It's delicious, brisk teas. I swear, you guys need to sponsor me because I smash your teas on pretty much a daily basis. And I'm even always telling people about them. You got a green one. It's watermelon lemonade. Let me tell you, that shit there is pretty much crack because I have to have at least one of those every damn day. But alright, let's go into more of these non-basic lands because I'm not even close to being done with these. And I have Arcane Sanctum enters the battlefield tapped and taps, and then you can tap it for any color in Esper. White, blue, or black. I do believe that's Esper. Yeah, just another way to help mana fix. And also have Frontier. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have no idea how to pronounce that word, so I'm not gonna sit here and make myself sound stupid. But it enters the battlefield tapped, and it can tap for any color in Timur. Is that how that's pronounced? That's green, blue, or red. Like I said, just another way to color fix. And next I have Crumbling Necropolis. Enters the battlefield tap. Can tap for blue, black, or red. That is Grixis. Like I said, just another way to help mana fix from a child. You know. Let's see. Next, oops, almost dropped the whole stack. Let's not do that. Opulent Palace. Into the battlefield tap. Can tap for green, black, green, or blue. Sultai, right? Yeah, it's Sultai. Yep, just another way to fix. And then also Seaside Citadel, enters the battlefield tapped, can tap for any color in Bant, green, white, or blue. So, yep. And then I'm missing something. Where is that? Oh, right there. Have Nomad Outpost into the battlefield tap, and then can tap for any color in Mardu, red, white, or black. So, yep. Obviously, yeah, this little small stack of cards is more or less just for fixing. I guess the other stack was more for, finding ways to tap for any mana or get any mana on the battlefield. And then next, these are from New Capenna. Xander's Lounge is an island swamp mountain. Enters the battlefield tapped. Can tap for any color in Grixis, blue, black, or red, or you can pay 3, cycle it, and draw a card, which more than likely I will never do. I don't know. It just depends. Early game, I'm putting this down. Late game, I'll have a gang of lands on the board, so I can always see if I can draw into a sacrifice spell or something like that. Oops, out of the way, please. And then I have, is that Ziatora's Proving Ground. Is a swamp mountain forest. Can tap for black, red, or green, or it also has the same pay 3 and cycle it cost, and that is Jund. It's a very dangerous color combination to fuck some shit up. And yeah, there's that. Oh, that looks slick. Oh, that looks very slick. I like that. Next we have yep. Spar's headquarters. Spara, whatever. Oh, yep, that's the one I have. Yep, that's the one I have. Not like that matters, but it's a forest plains island. Enters the battlefield tapped, and yeah, it can tap for any color and band. It has the pay 3 cycling costs, which again more than likely won't do, but if needs arise, late game it is what it is. Now these next 4, and then these 4 are pretty much in the category of their own, kinda, and they're the only ones that I have, so I put them in this deck, and it is, there it is, Esper Panorama, or Panorama, whatever. Taps for colors, or you can pay 1 and sack it. Search your library for a basic plains, island, or swamp card, put on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Just, yeah, another way to fix your mana if you even need fixing. It's another one of those cards. Early game, great. Late game, it's kind of whatever. And then all 4 of these are panoramas, by the way. So, and I have the Jund one here. Taps for colors. You can pay 1, tap, sack it. Search your library for a basic swamp, mountain, or forest. Battlefield tapped. Next, I have. That's what. I have the Panorama. Taps for colors, pay 1, tap, sack, and search library for a basic forest, plains, or island. Put on battlefield, tap, and the shuffle. And the last one is the Grixis Panorama, whatever. Taps for colors, you can pay 1, tap, sack, and search your library for a basic island, swamp, or mountain. Put on the battlefield, tapped. There you go. And that's it for the panoramas, whatever. Now, this category of land is our man lands. Lands that you can turn into creatures, but they are still lands. I really got into an argument with somebody some time ago. I turned 1 or 2 of my lands into... Well, you know what? Let me pull one up. Let me pull the first one up, and then I'll get into this story, because it was actually rather ridiculous. I have Raging Ravine. Enters the battlefield tap, can tap for either or color of Gruul. You can pay 2 in Gruul, and until end of turn, Raging Ravine becomes a 3/3 red and green elemental creature with, when this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It's still a land. Did you hear those keywords? It's still a land. I played this deck in a big play group one day and made 1 or 2 of my man lands, which I'm going to go through the stack of them, so there are definitely more. I turned them into creatures, but it says right there that it's still a land. And I blew up Child of Alara, or it ended up getting destroyed in some kind of way, and somebody really tried to argue with me saying, hey, you have to blow those lands up. I'm like, no, I don't, because Child of Alara says destroy all non-land permanents. It's pretty cut and dry. They're creatures, but they're still lands. They're land creatures, basically, which means Child of Alara would never destroy them. I mean, this is for those people that I talk about who take this game way too serious. This dude Rose's voice, I'm not exactly sure who he was intimidating, because he hasn't done enough push-ups for me. But it's irrelevant. It's still a land. There's no debate. It says it right there on the card. It's still a debate. And that's where he got mad at me. He was like, I heard you the first time. You keep saying it's still on the card. It's written on the card. I'm like, okay, well then why are we even debating about this? Do you not know what non-land means? But anyway. Don't plan on going back over there because this is just a game. Getting into all that yelling, screaming, arguing and shit, that shit's ridiculous. Oop. That's not what I meant to do. Next, I have the Great Hall of Steinheim. It enters the battlefield. Can tap for black. You can pay 2 white and black and sack the hall and a creature you control. Create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance activate this ability only anytime. You could create a sorcery. I'm surprised it just didn't say create a token that's a Sierra Angel. But yeah, it's just another good way to get a quick creature out if I need to, and I can sack my Child of Alara with this. So, yeah, which I have actually multiple times. Okay, next. I have Mobilized District. Task for colors, you can pay 4. Mobilized District becomes a 3/3 citizen creature with vigilance until end of turn. It's still a land. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature and planeswalker you control. So basically that ability is more than likely going to cost 3 if I have Child of Alara on the board, because the gods probably more than likely won't be online. Or I can just pay the 4 because I will more than likely have enough mana to do so. I like these man lands for after. Matter of fact, I like these man lands for after I use Child of Alara. Blow everything up. Nothing's on the board. I can make my man lands men or women before somebody says something crazy, and yeah, get to attacking people with them. Let's see. Oops. Is that it? Yep. And I also have Lumbering Falls. Taps for either or color of Simic. You can pay 2 in Simic, and Lumbering Falls becomes a 3/3 green and blue elemental creature with hexproof until end of turn. It's still a land. Yeah, there you go. Cut and dry. Oh, if for anybody who doesn't know what hexproof means, just in case, hexproof means that it can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control, but you can still do whatever you want to it. Okay, next. And the only reason I still explain stuff like that is because I'm humble. I love this game. I'm really good at it, but I'm also still humble about it because I recognize, unlike a lot of people, that at some point in time I was new at this game and I didn't know what keywords meant and stuff like that, and somebody had to explain it to me, so I don't mind paying it forward, you know. Stirring Wildwood. It's the battlefield. Can tap for either or color of Celestia. You can pay 1 in Celestia until end of turn. Stirring Wildwood becomes a 3/4 green and white elemental creature with reach. It's still a land. For those who do not know what reach is, it means that it can block creatures that have flying. Yeah. So yeah, another man land that I can come at you with, or make a blocker if I need to. That's another thing I can do with all these man lands if I need to. Almost put that in the wrong pile. I'd have to say this right here is the man land I love the most, and it's definitely the one that I've actually killed people with before, and that's Lava Claw Reaches. Enter the battlefield. Can tap for either or color of Rakdos. You can pay 1 in Rakdos, and until end of turn, Lava Claw Reaches becomes a 2/2 black and red elemental creature with pay X. It has fire breathing, and this creature gets +X +0 to end of turn. Fire breathing is a term that people pretty much came came up with, because of, and I'll even bring it up real quick, because of the card Fire Breathing. It's where, oh no, wrong card. Oh no, that's right. Because like the Fire Breathing, you can pay as many reds as you pay, it'll pump up its power. This is pretty much the same thing, except you can pay any mana, and obviously the more mana that you pump into it, the stronger it's gonna get. And yeah, this Lava Claw Reaches I have actually used to kill people with before. So I'd have to say, out of the man lands that I can think of off the top of my head, this is probably the one I love the most because it can get in for the most damage. Yeah. So next, let's see. I have Mishra's work. No. Oh no, I do not own. I don't own this card. I wish I did. It's not Mishra's Workshop. I'm sorry about that. There it is. It's Mishra's Factory. This I do have. Taps for a colors, or you can pay 1, and it becomes a 2/2 assembly worker artifact creature. Until end of turn, it's still a land. Has a tap ability. Target assembly worker creature gets +1/+1 to end of turn. That's pretty irrelevant unless I found a way to give this vigilance. Which I don't think I have anything in there to do that. But yep, just another man land that I can turn into a quick creature. And the next one is Booyah. Needle Spires. It almost looks like a sliver. It really does. A 3-headed sliver. Oh, that's its front leg, hoof, whatever the fuck you call those things the slivers walk on. But anyway, enter the battlefield, tap, can tap for either or color of Boros. Or I can pay 2 in Boros, and it becomes a 2/1 red and white elemental creature token with a double strike until end of turn. It's still a land. For anybody out there that does not know what double strike is, basically it hits twice. There's an ability called First Strike, and it will hit with double strike. It will hit with First Strike first, and then it will hit with normal damage. For anybody who doesn't know what First Strike is, any creature that has First Strike, or anything like that, when damage is being dealt or spread around or anything like that, the creatures with First Strike do their damage first. And so yeah, a creature with double strike will hit with First Strike, and then it will hit again with normal damage. So yeah, there you go. I hope I explained that right. Then I have Wandering Fumarole, whatever. Enter the battlefield tapped and tap for either or color of Izzet. I can pay 2 in Izzet until end of turn. It becomes a 1/4 blue and red elemental creature token with I can pay 0 and switches power and toughness to it until end of turn. So yeah, great that I can make it a land. It can come in with a decent early game number to block something with. But obviously if I use Child of Alara, if I get rid of Child of Alara and I blow up everything, I would use that to switch his power and toughness. That way I can swing forward somebody. So yeah, that is that. Let's see. Right, yeah. I have Treetop Village. Into the battlefield, taps for green. I can pay 1 in the green, and Treetop Village becomes a 3/3 green 8 creature with trample until end of turn. It's still a land. Whew, excuse me for anybody who doesn't know what trample is. Basically, say if I attacked you with this 3/3 and you blocked me with a 1, you blocked it with a creature whose toughness was 1. It's going to hit that creature and to do lethal damage to it, and whatever the remainder is left is going to go to the player. So yeah, if I attack you with a 3/3 with trample and you block me with a creature whose toughness is 1, it's going to hit that creature for the 1, and it's going to hit you, the defending player, with the other 2 damage. And yeah, that's how trample works. This one that I actually just put in here the other day because I realized that I owned it, and I was like, yeah, I know exactly where that's going, and it's Hall of Storm Giants. If you control 2 or more of the lands, it enters the battlefield tapped. I don't really care about that. It can tap for blue, or I can pay 5 in the blue, and until end of turn, the Hall becomes a 7/7 blue giant creature with Ward 3 is still a land. Well, it's written on there, but still, for anybody who doesn't know what Ward is, it means whenever it becomes the target of a spell and ability an opponent controls, counter that unless they pay an additional, well, in this case, 3. There are cards out there that have different number of wards, so basically they would have to pay whatever they're paying for the ability or spell that they're casting, plus an extra for whatever the ward number is, which in this case it would be 3. So, yeah, big creature. I have a lot of land, so I'll definitely have enough to pay for that because I'm not anywhere near done with these non-basic lands. But the next one that's on the pile here is Fairy Conclave. Into the battlefield tap, can tap for blue. You can pay 1 in the blue, and it becomes a 2/1 blue fairy creature with flying until end of turn. I'm not going to explain what flying is because it's fucking flying. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm a human. I cannot fly. Be nice. Definitely will save on gas. I don't know how much gas costs where you guys are, but it costs a nice little penny here. Next I have Dread's Statuary. I swear for years I kept calling this card Sanctuary, but Statuary taps for a colorless. You can pay 4 and it becomes a 4/2 golem artifact creature until end of turn. Yeah, just another man land. Come in, do some damage or block a creature, and then go on about your business. Then I have Shambling Vent. Enters the battlefield tapped, can tap for either or color of Orzhov, or you can pay 1 in Orzhov, and Shambling Vent becomes a 2/3 white and black elemental creature with lifelink until end of turn. It's still a land. For anybody out there who by chance does not know what lifelink is, it means if this creature deals damage to anything, another creature, a player, a planeswalker, if it deals damage to anything, you're going to gain life equal to its power, which in this case would be 2. And then let's see, we have, oops, I did it again. Click the bar first, dummy. I have Creeping Tar Pit. It's the battlefield tap, can tap for either or color of Dimir, and I can pay 1 in Dimir, and the Tar Pit becomes a 3/2 blue and black, blue on black elemental creature until end of turn, and can't be blocked this turn. It's still a land. It's fucking unblockable. I have no idea why they changed that wording. Like, did they really have to dumb it down? I really feel like unblockable meant just that, but not everybody's on the same level. So let's just leave it at that. And next in this cycle of lands, actually, and it's actually one of the last 2. And again, this is another thing. I know more man lands exist than what I have, but this is what I had, so they're in here. Cave of the Frost Dragon. If you control 2 or more other lands, it enters the battlefield tap. Don't really care. Can tap for white, or it can pay 4 in a white, and the cave becomes a 3/4 white dragon creature with flying until end of turn. It's still a land. I almost think I know what it looks like. What? I feel like I want that. For absolutely, just fucking cuz. That's slick as hell. I love alternate arts of cards. And the last man land I have in here is Hissing Quagmire, Giggity Giggity. Giggity goo. Enters the battlefield tapped, can tap for either a color of Golgari. You pay 1 and Golgari, and it becomes a 2/2 black and green elemental creature with death touch until end of turn. By chance, if somebody out there does not know what death touch means, it means if it deals damage to a creature, and say if said creature is not indestructible, it dies. It does not matter how big it is. I can make this a 1/1, or I'm sorry, I can pay the cost and make this a 2/2 black and green elemental creature. You can attack me with a 20/20 creature. And if I block it with this, it's still gonna die. It's like a quick shot to the head. It's an eye for an eye, but it is what it is. When sometimes you need to get rid of something pretty quick. Let's see. Next, I have. Yep, there you are. I have Maze's End. Enter the battlefield tapped, or you can tap it for a colorless. Pay 3, return Maze's End to its owner's hand, search your library for a gate card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game. I think this card is funny. Granted, I do have plenty of gates in here, and I'm going to get to that. I've never gotten this win condition before, but it's in there nonetheless because I could one day get that win condition. You know what I should have did before I started this video. Let me see if I can find one right now. Let me see. MTG. I just want to see, instead of going through, bam, that's what I needed to see right there. You know what? I'm not shopping. Can I just pull up the picture? I don't want to go to a website. There we go. Can I make that bigger? That's what she said. What the hell is that? No, I don't want to do all that. Can I just make this bigger? I just did. I don't know what I'm doing. You know what? Forget it. Forget all this. Okay. Because the first 10 gates that I have in here are the original 10 gates that came out. There's one for every two. There's one for every 2-color combination. So Selesnya, green and white, Gruul, red and green, Simic, green and blue, Golgari, green and black, Izet, blue and red, Orzhov, white and black, Boros, red and white, Azorius, white and blue, Rakdos, red and black, and Dimir, blue and black. I'm not going to type in all these cards. They all do the same thing. They enter the battlefield tapped, and then they can tap for either or color of their respective guild. And originally it was only these. I have 2 others. They have since come out with more gates in the later sets. I want to say the Baldur's Gate set. They came up with more gates. I legit only have 1. And from that set, which is pretty sad, but I eventually want to get the other ones. That way it can mess around and make Mazes End more plausible of a win condition. And it is what it is. After the set, it's Baldur's Gate. Will that pull up the version I have? Yeah. Because this alchemy thing, I think that's just for MTG Arena. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, yeah, I have Baldur's Gate itself. Taps for a color, so you can pay 2 and tap it. Add X mana of any one color, or X is the number of other gates you control. Not really in here for the pay 2 and tap ability. I mean, if I have enough gates on there and I can use it, that's awesome. But it's more in here just because it's a gate itself. and would make it easier to get to Maze's End's wins condition. And this right here is the last gate that I have, and the one that I have is from Guilds of Ravnica. Does the same thing as Transguild Promenade and Rupture Spire. It's the battlefield tapped. Sack it unless you pay one and they can tap for any color. Obviously I like it because they can tap for any color, but it's also a gate. And like I said, in the Baldur's Gate set, they came out with more gates and whatnot, but unfortunately the Baldur's Gate one is the only one that I have. I will eventually want those other gates so it can make more of a plausible win condition for that deck. And I guess that's it. I went through all the lands. That is all the lands. Oh my god. Oh, and obviously there are the rest of the lands in here are basic lands, spread between all 5 different colors, but I will say that there are mostly black. There are more red and black lands in here than the other colors, because the majority of sack spells I have are red and black. I mean, obviously there's some of all the colors, but the majority of the ones I have are red and black. But there you go. That is my Child of Alara Commander deck. This deck is awesome. I like it. My opponents not so much. Like I said, the majority of the time I sit down at the table and I pull out Child of Alara, I can hear people verbally, blatantly clear go, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "What? I don't see what the problem is." Because I fucking really like this deck. I thought it was a funny. At first, it just started off as a funny ass idea, and then I started winning with it. And now shit, it's actually one of my favorite decks to play against. It's one of those decks where I've even been jumped by people before and still won. Because, yeah, if you can't take me out before I get this out with at least one sack spell in my hand, especially one of those 1-drops, yeah, you're not going to get much further. But, yep, that is my Child of Alara deck. I like it very much. I hope you guys did too. You know, the whole like, share, subscribe, comment. Please comment. I don't get enough comments. If you have any ideas of anything else that I can add in this deck, if it's a permanent that can possibly be destroyed, I more than likely will not add it to this deck. Because why? But yep, that is my Child of Alara deck. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And until my next Commander video, later. Actually, I stand corrected. I'm not done yet. I forgot that I wanted to tell you guys about the sorceries that I do eventually want to get for this deck, but at the moment I do not own. Hang on, let me pull up my deck builder in my phone. And yeah, let's see. Like I said, I don't own these, but I want to get these for this deck. It's legit 4 different sorceries. And yeah. And the first one is Animist Awakening. Costs a green and X, so you can pay as much mana into it as you want. Or you can make it 0, which would be completely pointless, but I suppose you could if you wanted to. Reveal the top X cards of your library, put all land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom in a random order. If you have Spell Mastery, which if there are 2 or more instant and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, untap those lands. Yep, just another way to get a ton more lands out there very, very fast. The next one that I want to at some point get for this deck is, yep, already there, sweet, is Kamal's Druid Vow. Costs 2 green and X. It's a legendary sorcery, so I would only get to play this if I had one of my gods. Oh, well, no, no, no. Only if you control a legendary creature. So I would only be able to play this when Child of Alara is on the board, which is completely fine. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of land cards. Oh, it costs 2 green and X if I didn't already say it. I couldn't remember if I did. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of land and or legendary permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield and put the rest into your graveyard. Yep. Yep, just another way to get more lands. I may end up losing a couple sack spells, but there's plenty of them in here. And like I said, there are more out there. I just don't own them, but they are definitely on a wish list for me to get one day. And let's see, second to last one that I want. I'm not really surprised that I can't find this card anywhere, but I will get it eventually, and it's Scape Shift. Scape Shift. Costs 2 and 2 green. Sacrifice any number of lands, search your library for up to that many lands. That many land cards, put them on the battlefield tapped. This I have in here. Excuse me. This I have in here because depending on what I have to sack, what's in my hand, or what's going on at that particular time, I can use this to get my win condition with Maze's End and the gates. So that's why I want this. And the last one that I want to get for this deck is Reshape the Earth. Costs 6 and 3 green. Now see, once I get these cards, I may or may not add a couple more green lands in here. I may not even need to, but in any event, costs 6 and 3 green. Search your library for up to 10 land cards and put them on the battlefield tapped. And I know exactly how I would do this. If I, by chance didn't have any gates on the board by the time I cast this, I would go get Maze's End and then 9 gates. That way when they untapped, I can use Maze's End. I don't play a land. I'll use Maze's End, its ability to go get another gate, put it on the battlefield, then as soon as I play Maze's End for my land for turn, I win the game. So, yeah, those are the lands, those are the sorceries that, I eventually want to get for this deck, but that time will come when the time comes. If it never comes, it never comes. It is what it is, I guess. But now, deuces.